Hi there, welcome to your Yoga Loft online grounded class with me, Lisa. Hey, how are you all doing today? This class is going to be titled Lunge for Longevity. In our yoga practice, we often incorporate different types of lunges. There are many different variations of lunges, and each variation targets into a slightly different area, and there's a slightly different benefit to it. It helps us move into a different area within the body. So we're going to take our time to work our way through some of those lunge variations and just help kind of get some balance and understand how they work. One of the lunges that we use a lot is sometimes referred to as like the half kneel, and it's one of the developmental stages. So when we're babies, we start off with lying on our backs, and then the next developmental stage we kind of flip onto our bellies. Eventually we come onto all fours, this quadrant head, and then before we kind of go to walk, we come up into the half kneel. Often you'll see like little ones that use something to lift themselves up again. So this half kneel, this little 90-90 lunge that we sometimes call it, is one of the developmental stages. So it's very important for our brain mapping that we have a little bit of a play with this. When we lunge, we want to set up a really lovely stable base, whichever variation that we are coming into, and we want to try and make sure the pelvis is stable. Be aware of that as we move through our practice. Notice that you're not doing anything that's causing the pelvis to tip forward, or that's maybe creating some unwanted niggles or pinching in the back. So just be very mindful of that. As always, please treat this practice just as you would if you were in the studio with me. This next hour is for you. Phones on do not disturb. Ask people in your home if there's others there to just give you 1 hour, just 1 hour, 1 hour of delicious peace and quiet so that you can practice. Make sure the area around you is safe, and I would always encourage, I know that you may not have a block, like we all don't have these blocks handy, but you can have something that you could lean a hand on that would just raise the height of the floor up for you. So notice if there's a block or something handy that you can use, because we all have different length limbs, and sometimes when we would bring the hands down to the floor, the spine will get very rounded. Whereas if we can use the block, the spine can stay nice and long. Okay, so do whatever you need to prepare and get ready. And then once you've got all that done, come on down to lie on your mat. Join us laying down. So as you lay on your mat, let's take a little bit of time to get comfortable. So this beginning part of the practice is a lovely reset. It's bringing our posture back into its neutral state, hopefully. So let's see if we can feel the back of the skull, the shoulder blades, and then the low back really snuggling down into the mat. I would probably encourage you to keep your feet on the mat, knees pointed up to the ceiling, feet are around hip distance apart. But if you need to choose another variation, that's entirely up to you. Take a little bit of time here to just check in with how this feels, because we will want to maintain this neutral posture as much as possible through our practice. Thinking about creating length and space in the spine while working with all the natural curves within our bodies. Lovely deep flowing breath. No big effort, no big fuss, just simply taking time to breathe. A little moment maybe to check in with how you're doing. Is there anything in the body that you need to be a little more mindful of? Any aches or niggles? Anywhere you would really like to focus your practice in on? Maybe you'd like to set yourself an intention or a focus for your practice. That intention attention. That focus could literally be anything, anything at all. Maybe it's just to remain on your mat for these next 60 minutes. To move with awareness and patience, whatever you would like that intention, that focus to be. Reach your arms up into the air. And let's bring a little release into the wrist. So point the fingers of the left hand behind you. Right hand grabs a hold, draws the fingers back, and just opening up some space down over the left wrist and forearm. So we weight bear quite a lot on our hands in our yoga practice, so it's important to give the wrists a little bit of TLC. And release that and do the other side. Okay, so drawing back the fingers of the right hand up. You can almost feel like you're pressing the left palm up towards the ceiling. And release that. And from where you are, just bring your hands down onto the pelvis, so onto the fronts of the pelvis. Just let your fingertips rest there. Now imagine that you're consolidating the whole front of the body. Think about a little corset being tightened, everything pulls in together. Feet about hip distance apart, not too close to the buttocks. We want to really feel our glutes work here. So give your butt a nice big squeeze, your glutes a nice big squeeze. And we're just going to move one leg at a time into a little more flexion. So the knee will come over the hip, the shin will be parallel with the ceiling. Let's start with the left leg. So squeezing the glutes, lift the left knee above the hip, flex the foot. Slowly touch that foot back down. Go into the right side, right knee lifts up above the hip, flex the foot. And slowly step back down again. So go side to side, keeping the pelvis nice and still, trying not to rock from side to side, and really using the glutes to lift and lower. So keep a little squeeze on. Beautiful. Spread the toes. Give the fascia in the feet a little bit of love. Now next time that left leg comes up, we're going to pull it in towards the chest. So really increasing that flexion at the hip. Without using the hands, without using the arms, really pull the left thigh in towards your chest. Keep the foot flexed, spread the toes at the left foot. Notice how that feels. Try not to let the sacrum rock up off the mat. Really nice. Now straighten that left leg all the way out across the mat and really lengthen over the front of the left hip flexor. Imagine you're trying to push the sole of the foot away from you. Beautiful. Left foot comes back in, plants down. Bring the right knee up this time, spread the toes and pull the right knee in towards the chest. Not using the hands so that it would be passive, but using the strength, the focus, the energy in the leg to hug that right knee up and in. Keeping the back of the neck nice and long. Now spread the toes of that right foot. Flex at the ankle. Just hold for a couple more breaths. And then press the right leg really long, all the way out over the mat, and you probably get a really nice release across the front of that right hip area. Bring the foot back in, plant it down. And take your feet about mat distance apart. So the right foot is on the right edge of the mat, left foot on left edge of mat. Take a big inhale, exhale, drop your knees over to the left side. Now really squeeze your right glute forward, lengthen all the way out over the front of your right hip. If you want to, you can take the palm or the heel of the left hand, press it against the front of the hip there. And as you squeeze, imagine that the hand is resisting the hip and the hip is resisting the hand. Keep a lot of squeeze and energy in that right glute. You can reach the right arm all the way up and overhead if you like, and then that's going to get a bit more length and space in the right side of the body. Last couple of breaths here. And come on back to the middle. Right arm comes down. Drop your legs over to the right side. Now don't just let them fall, let's keep some energy there. Squeeze that left glute forward, lengthen over the front of the left hip, keep the ribs connected. Your little corset is drawn in. Heel of the right hand can press to the front of that left hip. Left hand can punch all the way over your head, all the way out behind you. So this whole sideline of fascia is all connected. And when it's restricted at one place, that can flow on through to other areas. So let's see if we can untangle some of the little knots that are there. Lots of energy in that left glute. Beautiful. Come on back to center. And just lengthen your legs out over the mat for a moment. Okay, keep the back of the skull, shoulder blades and sacrum on the mat. Draw your little corset in, flex the feet, pull the toes towards you. And bring the knees into the chest, give them a nice big squeeze or rock and a swing from side to side. Let's rock straight up to all fours. Come on up onto all fours, hands under your shoulders, knees are underneath your hips. And we're going to bring a little bit of movement into the hip here. So starting with the left leg, bring the left knee up in line with the hip, sole of the left foot points towards the ceiling, keep the belly lifting. And then bring that knee in towards your elbow. So squeezing the glute, lifting the foot up, knee in line with the hip. And then letting that knee come forward and in towards the elbow. Keep the back pretty straight and strong. Lift up, push. Imagine the sole of the foot wants to kick the ceiling. And bringing it in. We're going to do that just one more time. Lift back and up. Bring the knee in towards the elbow. And then set that knee down. Let's try the other side. So big squeeze, bring that right knee up, right thigh in line with the hip. Try not to rock the pelvis to one side. And then smoothly bring the knee in towards the elbow, doesn't have to touch. So another few times. We're keeping everything still, apart from the movement around that right hip. So try and really focus on creating a sense of stability as we move from your hip extension into hip flexion. Okay, so feel the difference. Last time, knee comes in towards the elbow and touch down, back to all fours, create a nice stable base. Have a little bit of a rock and a sway from side to side. So we're moving the hips in all different directions. The hips are massively important in our lunges. So we're just going to explore the range of movement within our hips for a little while. Okay, hold. Come back to all fours, hands under shoulders, knees under hips. And this time we're going to abduct, so we're going to take the knee out to the side, so get everything nice and stable. And lift the left knee up and out to the side. It might only go up a little. And then bring it back, hover the knee above the mat. Do this a few more times. Keep your corset pulled together. Keep the back of the skull up in line with your shoulder blades. And really take your time to notice where that knee can lift to, where the hip can move to, without you having to rock from side to side. So you might imagine there's a little ping pong ball on the back of the pelvis, and we would want it to keep perfectly still. Last time, touch down, and move into the other side. So lift the right knee up, and then open the right knee out to the side. I don't mean to be rude, but if you think about how a dog has a little pee on a lamppost, I guess that might be the type of movement that we're looking for. A little pee on every lamppost that goes past. Keep those arms really straight and strong. And feel just how hard that glute is having to work to create this movement. Last couple. Do you notice the difference in the range of movement from one side to the other? I'm sure you do. Last time. Beautiful. Back into your rolling cat. Stir it all up a little. Stir it up, move it out. And then let's find our low plank. So come forward, shoulders over wrists. Straighten one leg out, drop the knee down. Straighten the other leg out, drop the knee. That should give you your low plank. Lift everything up and away from the floor. Squeeze the glutes down towards your heels. Take a big deep inhale. Exhale, keep the scapula hugging into the back, head of the arm bones lifted, and down we go. All the way down onto the mat. Feel the elbows point behind you. Give your butt a nice big squeeze. And as you inhale, lift into your low cobra. Drag the heel of the hands back to make space to bring the heart and chest forward. Think about lifting the belly up and away from the floor. Take one more deep inhale. Exhale, push back. Lift up into your first downward facing dog. If you'd like to have a little bit of a play in your downward facing dog, absolutely go ahead. Absolutely go for it. Take a nice squeeze under the fingertips, under each of the knuckles. The neck is nice and long. And remember, don't sag into your shoulders. Don't hang out in the shoulder joints. But notice the whole body works as one to support and hold you in this posture. From here, take a big inhale. Lift the left heel up to three-legged dog. So this is your extension. As you exhale, pull the thigh in towards your chest. This is your flexion. Do it a few more times. Imagine you're pushing that left foot through thick mud. And then pulling the thigh in to meet the belly, the chest. Try not to let the spine move. All the movement is coming from our hip. Really nice. Last time. Hug it in, hold it in. Notice how buoyant almost you feel. Keep lifting up. This will help us when it comes time to transition from downward dog into our lunges. The sense of pulling everything up and in. Drop that left foot down, come back into down dog. If you need to pop down onto child's pose for a couple of breaths, please do that. Lift the right leg up, just in line with the hip. Don't let the pelvis rotate. Take a big inhale. Exhale, pull the thigh in towards the belly. Do this really slowly. It's almost like you're creating some resistance as you do it. So it's very easy to go quick and then we lose all the stability and we lose the effort. So take your time. Feel your way through every millimeter of the movement. Little bonus, getting a sense of length through the back of that left leg and all the way through the spine. Now this is the last time, and then we're going to hold it in. Pull that thigh in towards the belly, the chest, keep the arms straight. Touch the foot back down and come down onto the knees and take a child's pose. Reach your arms out nice and long in front of you. Maybe your forehead touches down onto your mat. Think length and space through the back of the body here. So lots of length and space and freedom through the back body. Really nice. We have one more posture to do in down dog that focuses in on the hips. Come on up to all fours, big inhale. Lift your pelvis up into downward facing dog. So we did this already on all fours, now we repeat it in downward facing dog. So lift the left leg up three-legged, bend your knee so the heel comes into your bum. And then we are taking the knee up and out to the side and slowly bringing it back in. So we go into that
external rotation almost, taking it away, and then slowly rotating, bringing it back in. Couple more times. Remember, we're trying to keep the pelvis nice and level. Last one, open out. Come back to neutral and reset. Left foot plants. Drop down if you need to for a moment. Right leg comes up, heel comes into the bottom. You can soften that left knee as much as needed. Open the right knee out to the side, but don't tip. Slowly bring it back in. So you go from your external rotation into your little bit of internal rotation. Notice that you still feel balance through both arms. We haven't shunted all the weight to one arm. Last time, you might be shaking a little. Straighten out, reset, drop down and sit back onto your heels. Tuck the toes under. Okay, so let's tuck the toes under. If you need to adjust the toes, do that. Sit bones back onto the heels, rest your arms by your sides. So you can let the fingertips reach down. Think about recreating that beautiful line through the back of the body, back of skull, shoulder blades and sacrum. Front body stays connected. Maybe close your eyes and take a couple of slow, deep breaths here. Okay. Come on back down. Hands plant. Give your feet a little wriggle. And tuck toes. Lift up as you exhale, downward facing dog. So we're going to try and get that left foot up towards the top of the mat to come into our first 90-90 lunge, or half kneel, whatever you prefer to call it. So get a sense of buoyancy and lift. Think about how you pull the thigh in towards your chest. Think about a tiger getting ready to pounce on its prey. So the energy lifts up so that we have lots of space to get the foot through. Often we get stuck because we drag everything forward instead of thinking up and over. So when you're ready, left foot, take a big pounce. Well done. You might have to help it through, that's okay. Now drop the right knee directly under your hip. 90-90 lunge, because we're trying to create two 90-degree bends. Front knee, back knee. Release the top of the foot if possible. So that's a slightly different sensation, targeting to slightly different fascia than having the toes tucked. So notice if you're comfortable, keep the top of the foot flat on your mat. Take your hand, one hand onto the front of the body, right hand onto the belly, left hand onto the sacrum. Think about lifting the belly up and smoothing the sacrum down. Notice what you feel over the front of the right hip flexor here. Pull the left foot back, drag the right knee forward. It's like you're pulling these two areas towards each other. Hold here for a moment, trying to release and open through the front of the right hip. Keep this and reach the arms up and overhead. Feel the side body long, the scapula lift up off the back, and keep the neck neutral. Feel that sense of power and energy within your legs. Press down through the top of that right foot, see if you feel a little more. Last couple of breaths here. And slowly come into your twist. This is where I might suggest it's nice to have a block to pop under your right hand. Notice how that helps us elongate and lengthen the spine, as opposed to maybe trying to find the floor and having to round the back. So take a big inhale, lengthen, try and keep the pelvis nice and level. Now as you exhale, turn your rib cage just a few inches towards that left thigh. So think about revolving the rib cage around. Take the eye gaze to where your neck is happy. So I'm going to say that most of us will not feel good in the neck by looking up. So perhaps look down. Working with your body in the twist, as opposed to wrenching it into a shape that may not be beneficial for the spine. Last couple of breaths here. And you're going to tuck the toes of that right foot, and we're going to side lunge over the right leg. Take your block if you would like. Hands can be on the block. Sit back into your hips, so feel like someone's drawing the hips back for you. You can even take a hand onto the sacrum there and make sure it's still feeling level. Hand onto the belly, lift everything towards that kind of center line. Really sit back into that right hip. So this is still a lunge, isn't it? It's your side lunge, targeting into the inner thighs. We wouldn't normally get that in other variations. And then you take a little twist here. Left hand comes down, maybe on the block. Lengthen the spine on a deep inhale. And then slowly rotate the ribs around. Eye gaze down or just off to the side. Take your right hand onto the sacrum, the low back. Feel your left shoulder blade sit into the back. Can you create a little more energy in the legs? Really squeeze the glutes. Almost think about pushing the feet away from one another. Rotate all the way around to the back of your mat and come into your 90-90 lunge here. Look at that for a magic transition. So release the top of the foot onto the mat. Lift up for your 90-90 lunge. Right hand onto the belly, left hand onto your sacrum. So sacrum is smoothing down, belly's lifting up and in. We really think about what we're feeling over the front of this left hip flexor. Pull the right foot back, lengthen and lift up. So you can be like really relaxed in a posture and you're not going to feel very much. So is this still a 90-90 lunge? Yes, but I mean I'm feeling nothing through the front of the hip because I've let everything tip forward. So we need to find a little bit of focus. In fact, it's a whole lot of focus, let's be honest. Press quite firmly down through the top of that left foot. That sometimes takes pressure out of the knee as well. Reach your arms up. Lift up without allowing the chest to spill forward. You almost feel like there's a bit more space across the back of the scapula, the shoulder blades. How's the back of the neck feeling? Have you started to grip down through the front of the throat? And if so, do something a little silly. Try and release it out. Come on forward into your twist. Again, remember, hopefully you've taken the block along with you if you're using one. Right hand comes to the sacrum, left hand onto the block. You just feel that scapula sit into the back. Big inhale, long spine. Exhale, rotate a few inches. So often the twist is much smaller movement than you expect it to be. Keep hugging the right thigh towards the center. Don't let the right knee move out. And you keep driving that left knee forward as the right foot pulls back. It's amazing how much there is to focus on and connect in with in our practice. It's so much more than just random movement. It's an opportunity to work into our bodies. Freeing up any little blockages, allowing things to move and flow more freely. Slowly release out. come around, and we're going to side lunge over the left leg. Take your block along with you if you wish. So remember, long spine. Feet might pivot out a little. Press the hips back. Think inner thighs. Inner thighs. Feel the sacrum still lengthen out behind you as the crown of the head reaches forward. Right hand down, maybe onto your block. Take a big inhale. And as we exhale, we twist. Now try not to let your pelvis shift. Think it's only the rib cage that spirals around. Long through the spine, through the back of the neck, and right out to the crown of your head. Slowly, slowly release out of this twisted side lunge and come around to the top of your mat. Plant the hands down and step back without picking up the hands if possible to downward facing dog. Lift the hips up. Feel the hips lift up into the air. Draw the belly, the ribs in. Back of the neck is nice and long. Let's think about just pouncing one foot forward and then the other. So we'll go right leg this time. Lift the right leg up, hug it in and try and step the foot down without picking up the hands. Step back to your downward dog. Don't worry if the foot doesn't come all the way up. We need to just do little bits at a time. Try the left leg this time. Pick it up, push, step forward. Don't worry if it's not right up between your hands, okay? It's easy enough to then drop down and adjust if you need to. So try it a few times side to side. Now if you do this a lot already and you're thinking, well, I can do that very comfortably, maybe do it with a little more intention and focus. Notice exactly where it is that you want to place the foot. And even if you're only getting a little way through, that's perfect. Okay, it's a journey, isn't it? Yoga practice. Little bits at a time. Last couple of times. And we're all going to finish with our left foot forward on the mat. So left foot forward on the mat, come into your lunge. Now this time, keep the right knee lifted. Draw the left hip back and really feel you're starting to load into that left leg. You might want a little block underneath that right hand again. You might even take your left hand onto your thigh. Really strengthen the right leg. You're up onto the ball of the foot. You can feel all the toes pressing into the mat. And if a little starter pistol went, you could sprint off the mat and sure away you'd go. Lift the belly up. Lengthen everything forward. Everything forward. Come into your twist from here. Nothing changes apart from rotating around the rib cage. Don't let the right hip drop. Keep pulling the left back. And the hand can be on the sacrum for a little bit of feedback. Eye gaze stays down or just off to the side. Really press into that left foot. Strengthen the right leg. Final few breaths here. Bring the ribs back to center. Soften your right knee, hands onto the pelvis, and lift all the way up. Sometimes we're very eager to overly straighten that right leg, which then tips everything forward. Soften the right knee a bit. Again, this sense of drawing in the strings of the corset. Left knee stays bent. Now really feel the base of your big toe press into the mat. If you feel very wobbly or unbalanced, take your feet a little wider. Change your stance. Play about with it until you feel balanced. Perfect. Lovely long spine. Reach your arms by your sides. And then bring them
all the way up and overhead without letting the chest flare forward. Hold here. You should start to feel a little bit of fire and energy through your body. A strong posture. Take time to feel your way into it. Perfect. From here, we're going to bring the right hand in front, almost like we're going to have a little dance. Left hand comes in behind, interlace the fingers. So you're trying to pull the hands apart. Shoulder blades nice and stable and solid in the back. Take a big inhale. Exhale, twist and rotate to the left. Come back to center. And twist and rotate to the left. Go slowly. Notice that the lower body is staying perfectly still and all the movement is happening solely in the rib cage. Embrace the wobbles, but try and really build a firm foundation through the feet. Last one, slow rotation. Come on back to the center. Now step in, bring the right knee up in line with the hip. So now we've gone from extension of the back hip into flexion. From flexion in that front hip into extension. Really squeeze the left glute, lift the right knee up. Hold here. Hold and breathe. Slowly step the right foot back into your aeroplane. Sit back into the left hip. So you can see how the lunge helps to prepare us for this balancing posture, this warrior three. You can have the hands on the thighs. You can reach them behind the back. You can reach them out like little wings, or if you're really feeling it, you can reach them all the way in front of you. Hands touch down. Step back for your downward facing dog. Hips high, head low. Come forward to your plank. Drop the knees if you wish, stay on toes if you prefer, keeping everything drawn in, lower all the way down onto your mat. Come into Sphinx pose. Elbows pretty much underneath your shoulders. Take a little squeeze with the hands and draw the heart and the chest through the arms. Don't look up. Keep the neck long and neutral. Squeeze the glutes. Notice where you're feeling this in the spine. Probably feels quite nice over the front of the hips to release into this posture. Slowly slide the hands back, all the way back for locust. Reach them back behind you. Strengthen the legs, squeeze your butt. Lift and lengthen into locust. Try and scoop the belly up off the mat. Think long, not necessarily high. Lower all the way down. And then choose down dog, all fours, or into child's pose for a breath or two. Back of the neck is long. If you're in down dog, lengthening through the whole back line of the body. And we're going to step that right foot through. So do have a little go. Come into your downward facing dog. We can all do our downward dog even for a little while. And think about getting that right foot up. Remember, it doesn't matter how far it goes, even if it starts with just a foot or so, that's perfect. Right foot steps. Strengthen the left leg. Consider taking your left hand onto the block. Now scoop the right hip back up onto the toes really of that left foot. Strong, straight left leg. Remember that sense of preparedness, of adaptability. Where can we move to next within this posture? You try and lift the belly up and away from the thigh. Beautiful. Right hand can come onto the sacrum. Take a big inhale. Exhale, start to rotate the ribs a few inches. What changed when you came into that twist? So although it's just the ribs that are moving, could you feel that the effects of that movement anywhere else in your body? Did you maybe feel a little more around your right hip or your hamstring? Don't let your left leg go to sleep. That glute is on, it's supporting you the whole time. It's very clever. Breathe here. Breathe here. Slowly come back to center. Soften the left knee a bit and lift up. Bring your hands on your pelvis to start. Left knee bends as much as you need to get the pelvis neutral. Right knee bends. Go wider if we've got a serious case of the wibbly wobblies. Wibbly wobblies is a very technical term. Lift up, lift up. Reach the arms all the way up and overhead. Find a focus point for your eye gaze. If you feel like you're maybe gripping through the front of the throat, think about drawing the sides of the throat back. Really lovely. How does it feel? Do you feel a little challenged in this posture? That's okay. Do you find that your body is constantly working to find its center point, its balance? That's okay. Bring the right hand in front of you, like we're going to have a little shimmy and a bit of a waltz. Bring the left hand in front, lock fingers, shoulder blades settle. A little bit of energy, like you're trying to pull the hands apart. And your hands are kind of lining up with where you imagine the heart would be. Big inhale. Slowly revolve to the right. Now notice, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, that all the movement is coming from your rib cage. So we're not just turning the head and thinking, oh, look at that for a twist. Or we're not just moving the arms and thinking, look at that for a twist. It's very genuinely coming from the rib cage here. Really nice. Last couple. And let's come into our bent knee, warrior three. Step your back foot in a little, lift it up. Sit back into that right hip. Firm your left glute, push the foot away behind you. How's your corset? How's your corset? Where do the arms want to be here? Are you flying? Are you floating? Are you maybe using them for a little bit of feedback somewhere on your body? Hands to hips. Squeeze the right glute to straighten the right leg. Pull the left thigh in towards the chest, just as you did when we were on our backs. So it's the same kind of movement, isn't it? But we're just repeating it in a slightly different way. Hold here. Lift up. Squeeze the right glute. Step the foot all the way back. Hands touch down. And come into downward facing dog. From downward dog, take your feet out quite wide on the mat. Keep your knees bent and walk your hands back into like a little happy malasana or merry malasana. Tease the knees out a bit. Reach your hands forward and breathe some beautiful deep breaths into the back line of your body. Huge deep breaths. Walk your hands back towards your feet, shimmy your feet into about hip distance and folding forward. Soften the knees as much as you want to. Give the head a little release forward and back. Take your time here. Take your time. From here, walk the hands forward into plank. And then lift up into your downward facing dog.
Now let's figure out how you want that left foot to step back into your lunge. How do you want to get the left foot up to the top of your mat? Are you pouncing? Are you bringing it forward a little and helping it left foot all the way forward? Take a little leap of faith. Amazing. And come all the way up. Have your hands by your sides. Another lunge variation. I know, who knew there were so many? Pull the left hip back and the right hip forward. Find your balance as I struggle to find my own. Reach your arms down. Have a sense of reaching the fingertips down, squeezing that right glute. The front of the right hip opens a little. Lovely long line of energy through the back of the body. Now right hand's going to lift up into the air. Deep inhale. Exhale over to the left side. Keep the tailbone moving downwards. The front of the pelvis lifting up. And check in with what you're feeling the whole way through the right side of the body. Check in with what's happening around the throat and the neck. Final few breaths here. Come up to center. Take your hands back onto the tops of the hips, bend the right knee directly down. Keep squeezing the right glute. More length and space all the way down over the front of that right quad. Hold and breathe here. Slowly lift up. Take the right hand on, drop the right knee and come into your side plank. Straighten the left leg out behind you. Press the hips forward. You can lift the left leg up if you want, eye gaze down. Hands come down. Spin around with care and lift up into your downward facing dog. How are you doing? Excited and eager to do the other side, I can tell. Bend your knees. Prepare. How are you getting that right foot to the top of your mat? Just like that. Remember to go as wide as you need to go so the pelvis can be level so you can feel balanced. Rise up when you're ready. Hands onto the pelvis. Really up onto the back foot. Soften that left knee as much as possible. Scoop the right hip back. Squeeze the left glute. Tailbone moves down. Hold here. Hold. Reach your arms by your sides. Energetically feel the fingertips reach down as the ribs lift up and in, as the crown of the head reaches up towards the ceiling. Smile while you're doing it, like even if it's a tiny smile. When we smile, we tell ourselves that we're enjoying this, and I hope you are enjoying it. It is good for us. Reach the left arm all the way up and over. Big inhale. Exhale. Lateral movement, so try not to let anything else change. Draw the ribs in. Feel a little more length and space through that left side. Is anyone else shaking a little, or is it just me? Come on back up, come to center, take your hands onto the top of the pelvis, take a big inhale. Really firm that left glute. Exhale, drop the left knee down a little. Doesn't need to be too much. Just until you feel the sensation flow a little further down. So try and create as much length and space as possible from the left knee right up over that left hip. Beautiful. Hold here. Hold here. Nice. Come slowly forward. Bring the left hand down, drop the left knee. Side lunge variation. Step your right foot all the way back. Do it in stages. Remember, if you kickstand the foot out more behind you, it might feel more balanced. To challenge the balance more, toes would point down that way. Lift the right leg if you wish. Lift the right hand if you wish. Slowly come out, come onto all fours. Tuck your toes under and this time lift up. Let's open again over the front of the hips.
Hands onto the top of the pelvis, shoulder blades into the back. Lift up, big inhale. Exhale, just start to reach back a little. Think open over the front line of the body. Don't just let everything drop. Keep control of the head and the neck. And think lifting up to start to reach back. Don't just fall back. Slowly come back up to center. Take your hands down and go into your rolling cat. Really stir things up a little, or a whole lot. Stir it up, sweep the hips one way and then the other. Get a bit of movement into those nooks and crannies that have maybe been feeling a little bit stuck. Follow your own instincts to untangle any restrictions in the body. Last couple of breaths here. And when you're ready, come on through to lay on your back. Any way you want to get there at all, come on through and lay on your back. Take as much time as you need. You might want to bring your knees in towards the chest. Give yourself a little bit of a hug, a squeeze, or rock and a sway from side to side. Check in and maybe just notice, are there any other poses or postures that you would like to move through? Is there anything that your body's just whispering at you to do? Pay attention to those little whispers, they're super important. And once you've done all that, once you're content, find a lovely comfortable place for your final Shavasana, your relaxation. It might be a really nice idea to pause the recording at this point, to maybe just put on a beautiful piece of music, or even to just take a little bit longer. Wouldn't that be quite nice? Lay back on your mat. Softly close your eyes. Relax the muscles all around the jaw and the face. Soften the shoulders. And all the way down the arms, from the shoulders to the very tips of your fingers. Release the muscles in the back. Letting go from the crown of your head right down to the tip of the tailbone. Softening all the muscles around the back. And then release all the way down from the hips to the tips of your toes. Allow your body to almost melt down into the support of your mat. No holding anywhere in the body. Just letting go. letting go. Few more breaths here, and perhaps an opportunity to just check in with how you're doing here. How are you feeling at the end of your practice? How the heck are you? For me, that concept of longevity, really, for me, that's what yoga is all about, creating really amazing, healthy movement within our bodies, helping to create a healthier mind. And I think that comes from our movement, our taking time to ourselves. And if we want to think about that sense of longevity and health, it's not always doing the crazy yoga poses, it's not being able to do X, Y, or Z. It's about maintaining this sense of freedom, suppleness within our body. Open body, open mind, eh? The two go hand in hand. Maybe start to make a little bit of movement, just as much as you need to make. Wiggles of fingers and toes. You know what you're doing. Eventually you're coming up to sit. You can keep the eyes closed a fraction longer, just containing the efforts, the after effects of your practice within you a little bit longer. And of course, when you come through to sit, you're sitting up really, really tall. Really tall. Hands can come to heart if you wish, a moment of gratitude and thanks for your own practice, and a huge big thank you from me. I really appreciate the fact that you chose to practice today. I hope you have a beautiful day or evening, whatever you're all getting up to.